Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy. The last part we got here to this little cave with the dwarves, and now we're gonna continue on.
You know, I really do like this music.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy 1 soundtrack, while very limited, is fantastic stuff.
You know,
this was...
Oh, keep going.
Well, first off, this guy here wants some adamantite to do something, so that's a near endgame quest for us. This was actually surprisingly done by Nobuo Uematsu even back then.
You know, about the guy who wants the adamantite, that seems to be a staple in the series, because Final Fantasy IV adamantite for the Excalibur, and, of course, you need the pink tail to get the adamant armor.
Yeah.
And needless to say, you're gonna go through that with me when we do this LP.
Yeah, and that guy there wants some TNT to do something, so that's gonna be another quest for later on. Pretty much I'm just here to get the treasure and show this place off for later, because I'm going to cut back here. That's the entire reason I'm showing it off now. The other NPCs do have some flavor text, but unless that's an NPC I talk to directly, it's probably not someone that important. So, and now we're back at, this is... Elfland, I think. Yes.
So do they have, like, overpowered equipment there?
No, they don't actually have any equipment. Either way, we got our new enemy, first new enemy for the part, Asp, known as Cobra in later translations, 56 HP, no elemental affinity, but it can poison you, so watch out for that.
It's also called Python, I believe, in later translations as well, with Final Fantasy IX, the green snake thing.
I think that's technically a separate enemy, but I wouldn't be surprised if this game was translated around then, if that was something similar. Then again, did the Origins version call it that?
I'm not sure. I can go to Google, search for that.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Anyway, our goal is up here, I believe, or do I head west? No, it's this place. This is another little castle. But I'm checking some quick armor stuff right quick. Oh, that's right. This is what my setup's currently looking like, just as a quick little setup. Welcome to the castle of a very particular person. You can talk to the bounce, I believe, but all I think to say is squee. This guy here is Astos. He's asking us to go south to the Cave of Marsh and get his crown, because, yeah.
That sounds a little bit familiar. I can't remember from which story, but I definitely remember something like that happening.
Either way, now we're back in Elfland, because before I move on, I want to do some grinding. Not for levels, but for money. I want to get a crap load of stuff that totals out to 32,490 gil, and I only have around 4,000.
Wow.
But I didn't go for that much. I actually went for more. I went for 50,000 because I'm downright crazy. That took me about 8 hours. Yeah.
I can't believe you have that much, one, determination, and two, like, the guts to even do that.
Well, the thing is, I did this over, like, the course of a week. But yeah, and I also made sure everyone got up to level 10 at that point, and I'm actually now back in Cornelia for some reason. Why am I here again?
You know, I don't really like the fact that I even spoke with you about this before, but the menu music, why they added that, I have no idea, and it gets frankly annoying after a while. Not only that, but once you're finished with the menu screen, the music for the actual overworld or town or wherever you're at, it starts over.
Yeah, that is kind of glaring. Anyway, I just bought Harm there. That's a spell that only hurts undead enemies. It's called Dia, I think, in later... Actually, I forget what it is called in later translations. Either way, I'm just checking the monk for his actual stuff. But anyway, as for what I grinded all that money for, I want to buy a silver sword for both Zell and Zero. And I'm also selling the nunchucks for the monk, because at this point onwards, actually, there are no more weapons for the monk. His fists are more powerful than anything else he can equip. Aside from, I think, one case at, like, the very, very end of the game, but other than that, he's more powerful without anything.
Much unlike Tifa, who would need the Power Soul.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, as for what else I'm buying in this place, I bought 15 tents at Cornelia. I also I'm gonna buy an Iron Armor for Zell, 99 heal potions, because having to do not use my spell charges is really good. 15 pure potions just to cure myself of poison. And I don't think I'd do this, but I recommend buying around 5 to 10 soft potions if they sell those here. I forget if that's this town or the next, because there are going to be some enemies in the fairly near future that can petrify you. And magic-wise, I buy heal, as I think I just did. No, I bought harm. Yeah, harm, as I mentioned, does damage to zombie-type enemies. But in this town, for white magic, for Ico, I'm gonna buy heal and harm 2. Heal is a very interesting spell. It's called Dia in later translations, I believe. Which... it pretty much just heals everyone. It heals them for less than a cure spell, but it does pretty well. Harm 2 is obviously just an upgrade for harm. And for 0, I buy Cure 2, which will be known as Cura in later translations. And black magic-wise, I buy all the level 2 spells, Fire 2, Lightning 2, Ice 2, and Fast.
So that's haste.
Yes. It doesn't do the... it does a very similar effect, but in this, it raises your hit percentages. I'm not sure the exact way to explain it. You might have noticed, the viewers, actually, that when you hit an enemy with a physical attack, it says their amount of hits. Pretty much, there's 2 ways you do damage in this game. Your normal attack, and how many times your attack hits them. If you do that multiple times in a row, with haste, those number of hits that you'll do increase, and therefore you do more damage overall.
You know, that gives me a... Continue.
Sorry. I believe in this town you can also buy the white magic spell... I forget what it's called in this, but it's called Temper in later translations. We'll see when we get to the white magic place up there. But that is a spell I recommend you buy in later versions, especially GBA onwards. By the way, this is a tomb. And here lies Erdrick. That's a nice little Dragon Quest reference. Which is weird, because Dragon Quest wouldn't come out for another 2 years here in the States.
Died at 19... or, what? 19? Wow, my math is off. That's 29.
Yeah, anyway,
Still a young age.
Yeah, is this the place where you can buy the Temper? No, it's not. Okay, never mind. Although Anti-Fire is pretty good for later on in the game. Specifically when we go to a certain volcano later on. Because that nullifies heal damage, but... fire damage, rather. But yeah, the Temper spell, if you're playing later translations, not really translations, more like versions, especially GBA version onwards, I highly recommend, because that raises your attack stat in general, which if you combine that with haste, which they stack, by the way, if I recall, you can do a lot of damage real quick.
I was confused by what you meant by Temper, and then I realized that it was actually the Berserk spell.
It's not exactly Berserk, because it doesn't make you only attack, but it's a fairly similar concept.
So, like, Bravery.
Kind of. Actually, I do believe that this town has more than one magic shop, but I forget if that's this town or one later on. Yeah, it's this town. Is this where haste is then? Or, yeah, haste. No, I already have haste. No, not really. Fear, I forget what that does. Anti-ice is fairly explanatory. A mute, I think that's... I forget. And one thing I should mention, if I'm not buying a spell, it's because either A, I don't need it, or B, it's bugged. Because quite a few spells in the game, for some reason, just don't work. I blame that on the fact that this game was programmed by only one person. I think his name was Aesir. He would actually later program Secret of Mana. But, that's pretty well.
Anyway, you gotta admit, for this game is a practical gem for the time it was made, you know?
Oh yeah, I find it classic. Anyway, what I'm doing now is showing you off the methods of how I did the grinding earlier. First I'm gonna do the ship game. If you press A and B together 55 times, eventually... If I can get to 55 really quickly here, please.
That is a ridiculous number.
It doesn't take that long. This shows up. This is a 15-slide puzzle. Pretty much need to make the numbers 1 through 15 go in numerical order with the empty space being in the bottom right. There's various programs you can find for calculators and such to solve these for you. And if you solve it, you get 100 gold per. In later versions, you would actually get various items like potions and such for solving it, so it's not really worth it in that version.
I mean, I feel like in this version it wouldn't be too worth it either, because couldn't you just get the same amount of money by fighting random monsters, you know? Yeah,
and speaking of random monsters, the next method would be to go to the Peninsula Power I mentioned I think last part actually, and fight the Zombos there, because they give a decent amount of chunk of change for this part. And this is where I did the grinding, right here. This forest southwest. I got all my golden experience there. As I mentioned, it took me quite a few hours. And really, we're actually very close to the end of the part, because this part was just mostly that grinding. In fact, I think the part is around 11 minutes.
Approximately.
Which, mind you, was about 8 hours of work. Oh, boy.
I don't really like that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, next new enemy is a Geist. Geists are known as ghosts in later translations, 56 HP. They're weak to fire and holy. They resist status effects and ice, and they can paralyze you with their physical attacks.
Ugh, I hate Ghost in Final Fantasy XII. All variants, especially the Necrophobe. Great Crystal.
It's funny, whenever I hear Necrophobe, I immediately think of 5.
Oh my god,
Gilgamesh,
I remember that. Oh god. I'll be really excited to LP that.
Yeah, and next new enemy is Green Ogre, Great Ogre. These guys are known as Ogre Chiefs in later translations. 132 HP, no affinities, weaknesses, or status effects.
In my opinion, they're at their worst in 4.
Were they? They were in 4?
I'm pretty sure they were. If I recall.
That's right.
In Eblana's Castle, something like that.
It's been a while since I did a Blonde's Castle for some reason. Then again, for some reason I haven't played 4 since like 2013. When I did like my 3rd playthrough of the PSP version. I need to do that again. I know what I'm doing this weekend. And this here is the Marsh Cave. However, we're not going to be exploring it until next part. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys then.